Good day, brothers and sisters. First of all, what I want to do is I want to just thank you all for the subscriptions yesterday. I have 6 new subscribers to my channel from you know from the time that I uploaded my video yesterday till today. And I think I lost 2 subscribers in the last year, which I don't blame those people because I hadn't put anything up on YouTube for about a year. So I have to also offer a shout out to my sweetheart Christina because without her encouragement to do this, to kind of do both recording and in an audio sense and videoing myself on YouTube, I wouldn't have gone back and been doing this. I did plan on getting back on YouTube again, but I wasn't sure when. So thank you all for that. Thank you for the support. And today I just want to touch briefly on Leviticus chapter 22, verses 1 through 3. And it really has to do with, it's interesting because it talks about burnt offerings and the fact that they need to be holy. And if we have uncleanness on us, that those offerings would not be, you know, they wouldn't be accepted because God really was telling um, the sons of Aaron to be holy, and it was and then afterwards it starts talking. I don't want to get too graphic here in videos, but starts talking about having like discharge on you in us, and having semen on you, and if that's the case, then don't offer anything to the Lord. And so that's pretty graphic, and most of us, we probably don't deal with that or have it on our bodies, but it does happen sometimes. I just don't want to get too graphic here, but what I do want to say is I understand if we read the text for what it is and don't read any more into it. It's like I said, it's pretty graphic. It can actually be flat out disturbing because why is semen and discharge and these things, why is that being talked about in God's holy word? Well, for one thing, it's a reality. So when God talks about it, he's not talking about it in a coarse, joking manner, and neither do we have to be. I mean, when we talk about that kind of stuff to our doctors, we're not fooling around. Well, but today, like I thought about, what it's like to when we approach the Lord in holiness. What's the best offering we can give Him? We may not give Him a burnt lamb or a goat or a ram or anything these days. The best offering we can give Him is our worship, and and now, is it important to be holy when we do this? Well, sometimes we're not going to be. Sometimes we need to read the Word when something, when we're caught up in a sin, and that's okay. What we do want to do though is we always want to keep our hearts open as we read the Word, and we don't want to read it just to read it, because not that God doesn't take delight in any time we read it, but we can't pull a fast one on Him. We have He always knows the condition of our hearts. And I remember going to church as a high schooler. My mom and I would never sit together because I would come to the main church service after high school group, and so my mom and I, if we looked for each other, we could see each other on the other side of the auditorium, or whatever you want to call it, the center, the worship center where we had our services. So we would I would head over there with my high school group, and a lot of times, like, we would take communion. I don't remember if we took it every week, in the, when I was going to church in high school, but it was quite often. And in the very private time when my mom and I would get home, like, I would never ask her about it in church. But sometimes I would ask her, why didn't you take communion? Because I thought that was something you were supposed to do, out of respect for the Lord. And just, I just thought being a high school kid that you always took part in that. And because I don't remember my church at the time saying, if you're not right with God, then, don't take this right now. Because this is, a holy moment. This is holy business. Now that doesn't mean they didn't do that, but I don't remember them doing that. I certainly hope they did, because now, as somebody who's much more mature in my faith and just an older adult in general, I understand that taking communion is a very, it's serious business, and we're supposed to be right with God when we do it. We're supposed to be right with people around us too. If we have, it doesn't mean we can't have struggles while we do it, but they, where I go to church now, um, it's often said that if you have something against someone, or if there's some kind of conflict, write a text or send a note just to try to smooth things over. If you're gonna do this, don't. It's not that God doesn't know our burdens and doesn't want to share in them, but there are times where sometimes our burdens can hinder us, and we don't want our hearts to be hindered in certain ways when we're doing communion. So that's what these offerings were about. So it's not, if we look at it now, we all have, maybe not discharge on us, but we have the most ugliest thing when God, where God is concerned. We all have sin in our lives. So, but when we do take communion, we're always going to have sin in our lives, even if as we're being sanctified, as we become more and more like Christ, because we're sinful people. But we want to make sure that our hearts are right, and that, because when our hearts are right, our worship is going to be right. And so that's what this Old Testament stuff is about. It's not, God was never, as he states in the book of Isaiah, he was never really concerned about incense and offering. It was always a heart issue. But the thing is that we did want to, just present things a certain way before the Lord, because what we do in front of him is sacred. So, and that makes sense too. So, I just wanted to encourage you guys, read these passages again. I say this all the time, but in the Old Testament, particularly in like Leviticus and books like that have to do a lot with sacrifice, read all that and look for ways that you can relate, or they can relate to our lives, even if it's not literal. And you'll find, what can be called little nuggets of truth. I'm hesitant to even call them that, because sometimes those nuggets aren't so little. But if we find and if we read read the Old Testament with an open mind, we're going to find ways that it can relate to us into our lives, and that we may not even think of. It's easy to look at something and say, "Oh, this is all about sacrifice. I don't really know how to approach it while reading it." So just read it, guys, with an open heart. And when we say, when we make a conscious decision to read God's word every day, we are telling him, or we should be telling him anyway, that we consciously want to hear from him. We want to hear what he has to say. We're interested in what he has to say to us for the day, and it's not about just fulfilling, a duty to stay in the Word every day, which, it's always good to be in the Word. But what I'm saying is, I would encourage us all to just read the Word every day with an open heart, and see what the Lord will show us at that time, that day. God bless you all. Thank you.